So when it comes time to trace, or after you're done tracing your stencil and you're ready to start carving, sometimes you can get a little bit creative and think outside the box. You don't necessarily need to use specifically a loop tool or a carving tool. I just love ballpoint pens. They do so much. Really anything, even like a pencil with a nice rounded tip at the end of it. Anything that just kind of creates a nice smooth carve mark for you is going to be really beneficial. So here I have that marigold that I've been working on, and I'm just using my pen, and then I wipe the clay away each time I do a mark so that I'm not rubbing the clay into like another area. But I'm just going through the lines, and for me, I'm just doing the outside lines. It's definitely helpful to have whatever you traced like close at hand so you can kind of reference it while you're carving, especially sometimes the lines, I don't know, they just don't press in as easily, so you can kind of go back and check, which is really nice. Like right here, I actually think I forgot that line, unfortunately, but thankfully I have my paper and I can just sort of wing it. And then any of these clay crummies that end up sort of sticking and you want to get rid of them, you can actually take a dry paintbrush, make sure it's dry, and you can brush them away, because you don't want those clay crummies to stick around. So that's one way you can kind of tackle that. So I still have all of these little straight lines from the marigold that's right here, and I kind of want to address those by actually carving them out. So now I am going to get one of those loop tools and sort of go through and pull some of these lines out. And the reason I am choosing to use the loop tool this time is because I want to get a little bit of texture here. And if I wanted a smaller loop tool, I could always go back to even using the smallest loop tool that I have available. And I like pulling towards myself, so I'll probably rotate my tile so that I'm pulling the clay towards myself. It's just easier, in my opinion. And I'm actually going to go over some of these lines that I already did, because I really like this carving tool better. And so now I'm just kind of, giving depth to this marigold that I've started. And there you have it. So now I have this lovely little marigold that I've carved. There's some depth to it. I'm going to give it some time to firm up before I go in and take a dry paintbrush and rub those clay crummies out. If the clay crummies are still wet and sticky, you'll really just take a dry paintbrush and you'll scratch your piece. So you kind of want to wait till it dries, and then you can kind of go in and brush. And even leather hard clay to even your bone dry clay, you could still get in and tweak that a little bit. If I, found that I wanted to add a little bit more depth to it, or if there was something else I wanted to add, carving you can kind of get away with as the clay is slowly drying out. But there's just an example of sort of using normal tools and some ballpoint pens to create depth and carve marks on your piece.